After 50, so many people are financially ready to retire. But are they emotionally ready to retire? My guest, Vanessa Tennyson, has a story that you need to hear if you are struggling with your purpose, and she'll share how she chose her What's Next. Welcome to What's Next, everyone. My guest is Vanessa Tennyson. She is founder and CEO of Capitalize Your Humanity, a business providing executive and leadership coaching. She is a Minnesota, Harvard, and Columbia University's educated professional. She is skilled in the art of leadership and executive coaching and diversity engagement. And thank you for joining me. Really appreciate it.
You're very welcome. Thank you.
Please describe for me what you're doing now.
Right now, I'm an executive and leadership coach. And so I work with, basically I work with anybody that really wants to do the work. I work with companies, I work with individuals, I work with individuals within companies on all different spectrums. So I've worked with administrative staff all the way up to CEOs and everything in between. And the stuff I work on is simply put, moving from where you are to where you want to be. And so it encompasses quite a bit. You know, some of it can be relationship, some of it is job, some of it is purpose and intention, things like that. So it really runs the spectrum of whatever the individual is seeking to find out more about themselves on, whatever their question is the question that I want to delve into.
Once you got past age 50, you were making a lot of decisions. So was there a particular aha moment that made you decide to go in the direction that you're going now?
Yeah, my aha was kind of not my own aha, as happens to many of us who are over 50, where the is, what's the word, voluntold. I was voluntold that my career was ending at my long-term job of being a chief operating officer, chief human resources officer for a large engineering firm. And during the transition and buyout, I had discovered a program at the University of Minnesota called the Advanced Career Initiative. And that was run by Dr. Kate Schaefers and Dr. Phyllis Mohn. And it's a one-year fellowship that explores what it is that you want to do in your encore career or careers, as Phyllis says. One of the things that really touched me and touched me deeply in the very first day of class was Dr. Mohn said there are two words we're not going to use, and one is retirement, because it doesn't mean what it meant for the last millennium in terms of what it is for people to actually do, and old age, because again, it doesn't really mean what it used to mean. And I was struck by that this isn't about a particular point in life, your age in life, what you've already done in life. This is about figuring out where you want to go from this point forward and being intentional about it. The UMAC program, as a year-long fellowship, provided the opportunity to explore a number of different avenues toward self-fulfillment is really what it amounts to, is seeking a path toward what it is that really gives you energy, validation, purpose, and none of which has to do with earning money as its primary objective. The primary objective is to develop self and social good, give back to society, those types of things that are really more about fulfilling as opposed to being paid. So if you're lucky enough to be in a career that gives you passion and fills you up and gives you money, that's great. But for the majority of people, they work all their lives to get to a point to do the things they actually want to do. During that fellowship year, there was a particular point in time where we broke down into small groups. The fellowship was about 25 people. And in this particular group, we were about halfway through the year, and they asked a very pointed question. What is it that you think that you're leading towards for your encore career? And I mentioned coaching, and the room lit up. Everybody in the room was like, oh my God, you'd be a great coach. It's amazing. It's perfect. It's wonderful. I'm like, wait, whoa, slow down. It was just a thought, right? And people really validated the emotion that I had around coaching, because it's something that I'd been doing unofficially my whole life. People would always come to me asking me for help, advice, whatever. And I have no idea why, but that's the gift that I have. So the first thing that I did when I talked with Dr. Schaefer's was, I can't live with myself just going out there and saying, hey, I've got all this experience, hire me as your coach. I needed third-party endorsement. And so I was accepted at Columbia University in their executive coaching program, which lasts about a year, a little over a year, requires an oral exam, a thesis, as well as 3 written exams. And then that then moves into the International Coach Federation, which requires another oral exam and another written exam. And by the end of that roughly 18-month period, I had my designations as a certified executive coach and an associate coach under the International Coach Federation. So now I can take a breath. That's how I got here.
What are some of the challenges you have faced along the way? Because I know that nobody who has a path who's making changes ever has a path that goes smoothly. So if you could share some of the things that you didn't anticipate, and yet here they are.
Great question. The first thing I didn't anticipate was changing careers at the age of 59, 60. I had expected to, I loved my job. I was in a great place. We had developed a transition team, and they accelerated it, which is really what happens a lot when you start developing transition teams. They get their energy and it's like, okay, we don't need you anymore. Let's buy you out. That was a big change for me because I had spent many years there expecting to be there until I was age 70. So all of a sudden I had a 10-year gap in my life that was completely unanticipated. When I transitioned during my transgender discovery and transitioning from male to female, another big unexpected discovery was overt discrimination, which as a white male growing up, of course, I had the privilege of not having to experience discrimination that women or minorities in particular have experienced their entire lives. And so I was struck by how suddenly people started treating me differently that I'd known for many, many years, in terms of, suddenly I was not as knowledgeable as I was the week before I'd come out. I wasn't as capable of handling stress and difficult situations as I was. I mean, they were very subtle, but very direct and very pointed about, you're not capable anymore. And that was really the biggest shock. And I spent probably 6 months in pretty high anger, maybe even up to rage. Not a rageful person, but there was a lot of anger associated with it. And at some point in time during that 6-month period, I was talking with my therapist and I said, I think I figured it out. And she said, well, please tell me, because I don't often have people say, I think I figured it out. And I said, when I first transitioned, she had told me that I'd better get ready to be an icon. And I thrust back pretty hard against that. I said, I don't want to be an icon. I just want to be me. And she said, pardon the expression, tough shit. She said, you don't really have a lot of choices here. Not many 50-year-old men who are successful in business decide to come out as women and change their life and their body. And so I said, okay, again, more anger. I came in and I said, what I figured out, or what I discovered, was I have 30 seconds. Every encounter that I have, it doesn't matter with who or for what purpose, I have 30 seconds to make an impression. And my impression is about education. It's about knowledge. My impression is not about acceptance. And that was what I discovered. Was I had tried all my life to get people to create acceptance for me, who I was, what I was doing, the decisions I was making, all of that. And when I finally understood that the only thing I can do is create the opportunity for acceptance, life opened up a lot. A lot of negative energy left me. A lot of free space opened up for more good energy to come in. And I understood that bringing myself, my true self, all the time, every day, 24/7 is really the goal I should have. It shouldn't be about how do I present to this crowd or this audience or this, wherever I am. It has to be genuine. It has to be purposeful, intentional, and it has to be you all the time. Otherwise, you risk, I don't remember who I was supposed to be during this particular engagement, and you're lost. Well, if I don't have to think about it and I get to just own it and engage with it, life just becomes a lot easier.
You have also taken your skills and as part of your diversity engagement now and coaching strengths. I believe, aren't you working with Rainbow Health?
I was on their board of directors, and they just recently, so they were Justice Health. They just became Rainbow Health, converted in. I worked at Upfront, Minnesota with my coaching. I worked at a company called All Square, which is, they employ formerly incarcerated felons. They have a grilled cheese restaurant, and they use the profits from the grilled cheese restaurant to create an institute to train in legal and entrepreneurial skills. I worked with them actually right through their startup phase and into their operational phase. And then I also was at Rainbow Health for about a year, sitting on their board of directors during that. They had quite a bit of turmoil. They had merged with 2 different companies, a couple of different locations, and now have just kind of settled into Rainbow Health. And Phil Duran, a good friend, is still there doing amazing work. And so, yeah, I've tried to own who I am and then provide back toward my the people that are like me, my population, the queer population, in particular, transgender youth. As primarily, I rarely run into transgender adults because there aren't that many of us that are out and about. But I do run into quite a bit of in their 20s, maybe even climbing into their 30s. Many of them are entrepreneurs. I worked with Finovation in their labs experience, the Akara Mentor Institute, just a whole variety of organizations where I give back my time and my energy, and I coach on everything from business to relationships and everything in between. And it fills me up. It really does. Obviously, it's volunteer work, and it creates this opportunity for me to connect with people on different levels based on my life experience, right? It's so broad based on how I grew up and then how I am now and all the experiences in between. And one of the things that really helped me at Columbia, because we had to write a research paper, which I hadn't done in 100 years, it was like, really? I have to footnote and citations and the whole nine. And they're like, yeah, it's Columbia. So I had chosen the topic, executive coaching for queer corporate professionals. And there really wasn't any research. So my professors were actually quite thrilled about the topic because it was going to be new research. So I focused on the LGBTQ plus population in corporations. And what I ended up developing and discovering was what I call the triad of discovery. And the triad of discovery starts with what I call behavioral authenticity. And so, triad is a big triangle. So on top of the triangle is behavioral authenticity, and everything starts there. And I describe behavioral authenticity as the moment in time when you stop trying to be everything everyone else wants you to be, and you just decide to be who you are or who you're supposed to be. And you settle in with that notion and that notion only, and you clear the noise from all these other people and all these other things that are trying to push you into a direction. And you settle into this notion of there is something I am, or something I am supposed to be, or something I'm supposed to be doing. And it's real and it's there. And I just haven't discovered it because I haven't let it in because of all the noise that's been blocking it out for your entire life. We hear from so many different sources, all the things that we're supposed to be, but we rarely spend time trying to figure out and own what it is that we are and how it is we're supposed to be in the world. Once you get a notion, a taste, of behavioral authenticity, it just fills you up. All of a sudden, things start falling away that seemed really important that just aren't important at all. And it creates this amazing amount of energy and space, all of it filled with such passion. That then moves into engagement of purpose. And with the engagement, you have expanded energy because you've let go of all these things that you've been holding on to. And that space, those things that you've been holding on to now have a lot of energy associated with it. There was a study done in London in 2019 that actually measured the difference in productivity in corporations between LGBTQ populations that were out of the closet and those that were in the closet. And they discovered, intuitively makes sense, but they discovered systematically that there's a 25% increase in performance for people who were out of the closet. And so now all of a sudden, scientifically, I had an equation. I'm like, look, you can expect to feel a 25% opportunity cost when you do this. In other words, you will have more energy to this particular degree, 25%. If you want to put a number on it, I just say you have a lot more energy because 25% feels like a little bit, but really, genuinely, it feels like a lot. And then that creates the opportunity for diversity of thought. Once you run through that triad, then all of a sudden your life opens up into all the new possibilities that either you haven't seen or you haven't been open to, but that have existed for quite some time. And just you haven't been in the right place or had the right opportunity to explore those and then expand on them.
I remember when we first talked, and that was a few months ago, and you had been written up in the New York Times, but part of that New York Times article was the statement, and it really struck me as speaking truth. You weren't ready to be done. And I so agree with that. And I think a lot of people, if they're voluntold basically to find something new, that they're finding a purpose or a passion might be a new path for them at that particular point in their life. So thinking back now as talking to your 49-year-old self, what kind of steps or advice would you give yourself looking forward now because of what you have experienced?
That's another great question. It's the hard journey into yourself. If I was looking back, I would gently hold myself firmly and look myself in the eyes and say, take the hard journey into yourself, relax into it, understand that you are what you're supposed to be. Stop trying to be everything for everybody else and discover who it is that you're supposed to be and how you're supposed to be interacting with the societies that you've chosen to be a part of. What is it that lights you up? What is your purpose? What is your passion? What are all the things that you want to do that you've been avoiding because people either say you shouldn't do that, you can't do that, there's no way around doing that, you won't earn money doing that, and just ignore all that and go back and look deeply and judgment-free, as open and brutally honest as possible, and without judgment, because our own worst critics are us, right? Some of the harshest judgment ever is the one that we level against ourselves. And if we can move out of that judgment space and into acceptance and stop listening to all the noise and just say, hey, what is it that you want? Where is it that you want to be? How is it that you want to look? What is it that you want to do? All those what questions, and let go of the woulda, shoulda, coulda questions, because woulda, shoulda, coulda doesn't matter because it didn't, right? And so it's from this moment in time forward, from this space that I'm creating right now for self-acceptance, for the opening of new opportunities to be my true original self, what is it that makes me want to go forward and move into that? Because suddenly doors become open and suddenly you see them, you're like, whoa. And I'm a big fan of when one door closes, one door opens. It's happened to me multiple times in my life. Doesn't seem purposeful, but because I'm sitting in my genuine self, because I'm moving into this is where I should be, this part's over. It's time to move on to something else. I don't know what it is, but I'm going to be open to it. And suddenly there it is right in front of me. And for many people, they don't see it because they're afraid. And what I want to tell everybody, doesn't matter who you are, what age in life you are, what place, don't be afraid to take that first step forward, because that's where all the stuff is. Comfort is a great place to be in, but it requires a little bit more energy to step out of that, and that's that fear zone. But the fear zone is just brief, so brief. And you step through that fear, and suddenly there's learning, there's opportunity, there's just the whole world waiting for you.
And it's all going to be okay.
Well said. It
Yeah.
is going to be okay. And know that, if you don't step through, you just don't know. And you don't know until you try. And you have to be willing to fail if you try, because not everything's going to be right. But the act of trying is where we get our life. It's where we find out. It's where all the movement is, all the purpose. And yes, no matter what, it's all going to be okay.
I think it was Edison who went through 999 light bulbs before he finally got one that worked. So if he had stopped at 999, where would we be today, right?
That's exactly right. The history books are full of failure, full of very, very highly successful people who talk about, what's the one thing you would tell everybody? It's like, you have to be unafraid to fail, because that's where the learning happens. That's where everything happens. Okay, I failed. Now what do I learn? How do I pick myself up? Where do I go from this point? It's just a part of the deal, and you have to accept it. Now, if you don't want to fail, great. Then you stay in the life that you've created for yourself, and you be happy with that life. But when you're unhappy, move into fear, because that's where the movement is.
Well, I love talking to you. We could continue to talk for a long time. I hope we can come back and revisit sometime in the future to find out what Vanessa the icon is doing with all the things that she has planned. But I just want to let people find you. First, thank you for joining me. Now here's how they can find you. So Vanessa Tennyson at capitalizeyourhumanity.com. And if you like what you see, please subscribe and leave any questions or comments below, and we'll get to them as soon as we can. Thank you.